Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to build an idea factory. Before Silicon Valley, the place that was known as the idea factory was known as Bell's Labs. This is where guys like Claude Shannon was able to advance a lot of information theory, which led to the digital technology that we have today. This was the place where there was a lot of communications technology being developed, transistors, and much more, which eventually led to the seeds of the Silicon Valley. I'm not going to even talk about that. The main thing I just wanted you to understand was that idea factories are not new. Idea factories are sort of like research and development labs on crack. And you want to know something? Us as individuals nowadays, we can become idea factories ourselves. No middleman needed. But how will someone go about something like this? Why should someone go about something like this? The why is because you can. I'm sure you've had a lot of unique experiences throughout your life, and you have a lot of thoughts in regards to those experiences. Why not propose innovative solutions that target the younger version of you? When have you ever said, man, if there was content like this for my younger self, I would be so far ahead? Well, create content like that for your younger self. That's the seed of building an idea factory. That's your why, because you can. Now the question is, how do we do this? The way that we do this is in a very simple way. First, we create the parts. And second, we connect the parts. And I'll give you two examples. One example is exactly what you're seeing with the ArmaniTalks business right now. The place that I create a lot of my parts, aka the ideas, are on this YouTube channel. So the ArmaniTalks business is based off of impromptu speaking skills. This was a skill that I learned in my time during Toastmasters. And a couple of times a week, I turn on the camera, I give myself a topic, and I create a talk in regards to the topic. This allows me to create my parts, aka create my ideas. I don't only do this with YouTube, by the way. I do this with Twitter and podcast as well. Once I have a bunch of these parts flowing around, I'm starting to notice certain patterns. I'm starting to see which ideas have potential and which ideas are, I don't really like it that much. And once I spot my best ideas, I work on it, refine it some more, and then eventually I create the output of a couple of these books, aka the final product. So I started off with a bunch of parts, I connected them in a unique way, and I produced an output. So this is one way. Another example of a factory, not necessarily an idea factory, although you could make the case it was an idea factory, was Henry Ford's system of creating the cars. He had a bunch of the parts. He had his workers all have an individual role, and then he connected these parts in a unique way in order to create the car. The thing that we need to understand in regards to a factory is that in the beginning, we may not have a certain system, but over time, we should be working towards a system that increases the likelihood of us creating that output. Like I need to have a certain process that will output a book, and Henry Ford needed a certain process that would output a car. Without the output, we're just over here in no man's land. A system requires that output. And I'll just give you one final example, which is not talked about enough. Charles Koch. Charles Koch is a billionaire. He is the CEO of Koch Industries, and he has the business side to him, but he's also hardcore into politics. And the way that he works with politics is something very fascinating. What he does is that he creates a thing called think tanks. Within these think tanks, he has different scholarly people, influential people, and students come by and discuss certain ideas. They talk about different issues, different problems, and they propose solutions. Within a lot of these think tanks, things are very choppy. But what it's doing is that it's creating the parts, okay? It may be high in entropy, but at least it's showing potential of, okay, these ideas are great. These ideas we could do better without. Once they have the ideas, now Coke has different individuals, aka publicists, that are collecting these ideas in a package that can better resonate with the masses. And once he has these ideas within the package, then he gives it to the politicians in DC, aka the talking points. So the talking points that a lot of these politicians have started off at think tanks. So what you'll notice with my Idea Factory, Henry Ford's, and Charles Koch is that we start off with the parts, we connect them in unique ways after trial and error, and ultimately we lead to a final product. So this is the basic gist of how to start an Idea Factory yourself. You could use it for a multitude of ways, whether it's to create books, whether it's to create cars, or whether it's to create influence. However you see best fit, it's the same process underpinning the diversity. Thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. If you enjoyed today's video, drop that like for me right on below, and I'll catch you on the next episode.